Hey class, so I first want to applaud Paula for a great presentation on Iran and its past. I will focus more on the contemporary happening starting from the Iran-Iraq war. So if you have not moved on to the next slide from Paula's presentation, I do ask that you do that right now. So the Iran-Iraq War actually lasted 8 years, which a lot of people say that's lasted longer than the World Wars, which you look back at the history. It lasted from 1980 to 1988. It's also known as the First Persian Gulf War. A lot of people call it the Gulf War now. So it began September 22nd, 1980, and in January of 1981, American hostages were released after being held in captivity for 444 days, which is a pretty long time. Early Iraq had actually not done so well, and it resulted in a stalemate. In June 1981, Bani Sadr, SADR, friends, is dismissed, and he actually fled to France. But if you look at 1985, the U.S. and Soviet Union had stopped arms supplies. The U.S. had attempted to release hostages that were found in Lebanon by offering a few secret arms deals, which later would be known as the Iran-Contra affair, for anyone who's familiar with that. There were a few modes of warfare, three found in history, and they were all used. The war between Iraq and Iran was actually pretty unique just in the fact of where they were located. Both carried oil. So the first thing that distinguished this war was the fact that they both had oil. The second was that Iran did not actually want to end it, but Iraq had to. And the third would be the three modes of warfare that were absent in all previous wars. They had indiscriminate ballistic missile attacks, both sides, but mostly Iraq, with the extensive use of chemical weapons, mostly by Iraq, and they also had 520 attacks on third country oil tankers that were found in the Persian Gulf. The war started from Saddam Hussein, president of Iraq. A lot of you are familiar with his name. He deliberately started the war by miscalculating a few things. He attacked a country greatly disorganized by revolution, Iran, and that's basically how it started. It wasn't really something that Iran wanted to jump into. Fortunately, in 1988 of July, Iran accepted a ceasefire agreement with Iraq, which followed the negotiations, which was under the UN, so they had some assistance with that. Just to acknowledge a few things about history as well. Iran also suffered from a major earthquake in 1989, the year after the war, and it killed approximately 40,000 people. Iran still remained rather neutral with Iraq's invasion in Kuwait, and the U.S. imposed a lot of sanctions to help assist with that. I just wanted to focus on women in Iran. It's all of their oppression, especially found in wearing their veils. Now there, you have to move to the next slide for that. There are many reasons why women choose to wear veils, and in some Muslim countries, wearing a veil is the woman's choice. However, for other countries, it's a requirement, which includes in Iran. One reason that women are required to wear veils in Iran is because the sight of an uncovered woman often could provoke a sexual desire in a male. Not being a virgin in marriage is shameful in Iran. That's also found in the book that we're reading, Persepolis. There is a relationship between wearing a veil and a woman's identity in Iran. Wearing a veil in an Islamic state helps to form women into one person. It faces uniformity, and it destroys the individuality of a woman. Wearing a veil is a form of oppressing a woman. When you're not wearing your veil, you are able to be more liberated. The significance of a veil is to help hide that freedom found in women. Unveiling is a sign of liberation and freedom, and being veiled is a form of subordination for Iranian women. That also is a form of taking away power from women. There are several demonstrations that have been done in the past with women unveiling. Unfortunately, the crime for not wearing a veil could be imprisonment for 10 months minimum, especially in countries such as Iran. Iran today is doing a little better than the past. They have a newly elected president, Hassan Rouhani, who has been working with the country. He was elected by popular vote. Currently, if you look at our present events, you'll find that the U.S. is working with Iran and their nuclear programs. Because I'm a big political science person when it comes to going on current events, I have attached YouTube videos with more information on Iran today. So I hope that you watch them, and I hope that you ask a lot of questions about Iran. Goodbye, class, and good luck with your finals.